good to be back on your radio with the program Integrity Watch. Integrity Watch is a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Thursday on ECOWAS Radio 91.5 FM. And it's relayed on Prime FM, and Prime FM is on the assigned frequency of 105.5. So the program runs from 11 to 12 noon. It is the primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of CENTAL. It is a key advocacy tool that provides essential information around the state of the fight against corruption, national integrity building efforts, as well as promotes the culture of accountability, transparency, integrity, and evidence-based decision-making across all sectors of Liberia. Under CENTAL's National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, funded by the government and people of Sweden, through the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, or SIDA, the radio program serves as an engagement, coordination, and advocacy platform that rallies citizens and other stakeholder support for the fight against corruption and bad governance. As part of this program, CENTAL has established the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. The ALAC is an independent platform that enables citizens to freely report and seek redress to corruption and other integrity-related issues within their communities, their places of work, and their country at large. There is a team of professionals at ALAC, including lawyers who are ready and willing to respond to whatever complaint you may file. So we encourage our citizens to take advantage of this process so that we all can fight corruption in Liberia together. There are different means through which you can contact our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. The email address is alac@cental.org.lr. alac@cental.org.lr. It's spelled alac@cental.org.lr. The Facebook address is CENTAL ALAC. The hotline number 4432. 4432. That's the hotline number you can call to report issues about corruption or seek legal advice, or better still, you need access to information, we can assist you in that light. So it's free of charge, Orange, Lone Star, you can call the number. So CENTAL is located just opposite the John F. Kennedy Medical Center on 22nd Street in CENTAL. So we encourage our citizens to come over so that we all can, have conversation around how we can make Liberia a better place, how we can make Liberia a corruption-free nation where citizens act with transparency and integrity in everything they do. The Integrity Watch radio program is very civil and informative, with zero tolerance on the use of invectives and other denigrating comments. So guests appearing on this platform, they are guided by the rule. So today is Thursday, September 8, 2022. This edition of the program is playing host to one of our own, and in person of Dr. Akiah Precious Glay. And Dr. Glay heads the gender, she's a gender officer at CENTAL, and she coordinates the Open Expenditure Initiative at CENTAL. So she has come forward to talk about activities that we've planned. As we said to you last week, or other editions, the city editions, we told you that CENTAL was retreating to Grand Bassa, and then that retreat was held. And after the retreat, we gave you updates on the retreat. And there were activities that we planned. So she coordinated that was a retreat to Band and what we anticipate to do as our way of serving the people of Liberia through a national integrity building and anti-corruption program in CENTAL in general. But before we do that, before we go to our guest, okay, let's just welcome Akiah to the studio. Akiah, good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Zota, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad again to be in studio.
How are you? How are your family and everything going with you?
Well, I'm fine, and work is okay, family is okay, and we thank God to be in Liberia.
Okay, great. That's the voice of Dr. Akiah Precious Glay, and like I said, she is the gender officer, and she coordinates the Open Expenditure Initiative at CENTAL. But before we go over to our discussion, we want to just deal with a few things, other little things that matter. This aspect of the program brings to the attention of the president and our leaders in general issues of national concerns. So, the first segment, we want to speak to His Excellency, the President of Liberia. Good morning, Your Excellency, and good morning to the peace-loving people of Liberia. We hope and trust that everyone is doing well, and whatever situation you found yourself in, we just hope it's going to be okay with you. Just trust whichever goals you trust. Let's pray to you, whatever goal you pray to, so that He can help you out, in that situation you find yourself in. Your Excellency, good morning to you specifically, and we hope that you are upbeat and moving about with the affairs of our country and steering the affairs of our country very well. Thank you so far. However, Your Excellency, there are a few things we want to ask you about. When you come up and make statements, those statements that you make, they are policy statements. So they are now taken, and they should be rather taken into high consideration. And if you constitute committees to do investigations, we look up to those committees to be very robust and work within the time limit that you will provide to them. If for any reason the time is not enough and they requested additional time, we look forward to them to ensure that they work within the time that they have requested. Also, when those committees do their investigations and they submit the reports to you, Your Excellency, we look forward to you implementing recommendations from those reports that will be submitted to you. In this vein, we have come to ask you about the status of few reports. One, the Global Witness Report. The investigation of this report was headed by the current Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Fonanti Kofa. Councillor Fonanti Kofa headed the committee that investigated this particular Global Witness Report, and they submitted the report to you, Your Excellency. Since then, that was in 2016. Since 2016, this investigative report was submitted to you, Your Excellency, and nothing has been said nor done about it. The next one was in 2020, when there were increased level of brutality against journalists. Your Excellency, you constituted a committee headed by Councillor Larry Brooklet. Dr. Brooklet headed that committee. They investigated, they submitted their report to you, Your Excellency. Nothing has been said nor done about it. And the list is endless with reports that were submitted to you, and nothing has been said nor done about them. Then we come to the passport saga. You asked the Minister of Foreign Affairs to investigate this particular matter. The minister took on the task. It took him almost a month or two after. He came back and requested for additional time. The week the minister asked for has elapsed. As yet, nothing has been said about that report. Whether the investigation is ongoing, there's no information surrounding that. The status of that investigation, nobody knows. And you have not spoken about it. You have not said anything about it, Your Excellency. The reason why we bring in these things up, because they are very important. The There are issues on the integrity of individuals who are steering the affairs of our country. These are leaders of our country who've been accused of different wrongdoings. So if these leaders have been accused and you ask for investigation and they are investigated, we look forward to these investigative reports coming up in public glare, just as the pieces of information emulated in the public glare. Like the issue with the passport, it involves one of the highest offices in our country, the office of the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. And this Vice President is a political figure. She has a lot of things we know that she has unplanned politically. So if we have issues of such hanging around her on her integrity, I think it's prudent enough for us to investigate and make those reports public in time. It does not come into questioning when she steps forward for leadership in our country. Currently, she is the leader of our country, one of the leaders. Another thing that happened that is important is the second highest office in the country is being questioned. The integrity of the person who's heading that institute, that particular office, is being questioned. So it's important that we clear that name internationally so that people will not recognize us as a country to be because of the bad things that happen in our country. Like it used to be during the war. As soon as somebody says they are from Liberia, the first thing they will say Chancellor. They were saying Chancellor not because he was good, but because he was associated with war. So the country was associated with war. So the leader who was heading that particular crisis, he was the country at that time. So they refer to him as as soon as he identified himself, they say Chancellor, the country that fought in war, the country where the people are killing each other. We don't want, and we have fought so hard to rebuild the image of our country. We have fought so hard to make sure that our country is recognized amongst the Committee of Nations, and we cannot afford to be, stigmatized based on the conduct of our leaders. So that is the reason why it is important when these when these allegations come up and they are investigated or the honor investigation, it is important for these investigations to be done in time so that the image of the country can be maintained. That is the reason why it's important for us to talk about it. So you must make sure that we call on you, Your Excellency, to do all you can to make sure that this minister carry on this investigation and the committee were reports submitted to you and they are dead. Excellency, please, we don't want this to happen because, like I said, it involves the image of our country. Thank you. Those are things we wanted to talk about, to speak to His Excellency about. I think there's something else here. Okay, yes, those are things we wanted to talk about. So let's go to our lawmakers, members of the 54th National Legislature. I mean, it is so disheartening that the lawmakers, especially the Liberian Senate, will still be keeping Councillor Vani Sharma as the chair of the Judiciary Committee of that particular body. It is disheartening. I mean, that what it takes for somebody, I mean, he was elected, yes, he was elected, but that particular position that he's holding as committee chair on judiciary is not, it's in your purview to suspend him from that position until his name can be clear, his integrity can be rebuilt so that he can come back to that position. He's not the only person to head that position. Councillor Sherman, yes. It's disappointing that up to this time, you have not said anything, nor done anything, and Councillor Sherman is still vetting people chairing the judicial committee up to this time and confirming people. He's asking people and looking for people's character whilst his own character is not clear yet. So you need to do something, members of the 54th National Legislature. I'm speaking directly to Honorable Chair, Albert Chair. We hope that you go to listen. And to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dr. Buffer Chambers. You guys are heading this particular branch of government. The Speaker, please, you guys need to do something about this. Councillor Sherman is sanctioned by the US government. See, just as Nathaniel McGill, Serena Cephas, Bill Twawe, just the same status as Vanny Sherman. He's accused of paying bribe to win cases in Liberia. He's accused of even changing mining law so that a company that he was representing to have to win a contract. I mean, these are all grave allegations that are hanging over this man for him to be heading such a very important committee in the Liberian Senate. You need to do something about this. And to the lawmakers, when you pass in bylaws, it comes back to affect you. One of the things that you even discussing, people are even signing up to, is the issue about your pension. After you have accumulated all of what you have accumulated over the years, you still want to still be benefiting hugely from the state cover. When the people of Liberia cannot have access to drugs, they cannot have access to basic social services. But yet your pockets have been full already, and your pots are boiling. But the people who elected you, their pots cannot boil because they cannot even get their daily meal. But yet you still want to be benefiting, even in retirement. You want to still benefit 50% of what you are earning. This is totally bad for the people of Liberia. You cannot treat the people like this. They have elected you to represent them. You have passed all of the bylaws. You have done all of the things that continue to affect them. GFK is empty, no drugs there. People go there and people are dying of incurable illnesses on a daily basis and you have everything in your power to make sure that these health facilities are fully funded. And then you have that oversight responsibility to ensure that when these institutions are fully funded, you ensure accountability and transparency of these drugs or supplies that will go to these institutions. Because it has been so, most of you have been conflicted. So for that reason, the oversight responsibility has been, you have not played it very well. Some of you chairing committees, you have institutions that you're awarding contracts, institutions that you having oversight over, they are awarding contract to the institution. How will you go to monitor these places? It makes it difficult. So as a result of that, the people are the ones who are suffering. They cannot afford a day's meal. But yet you still want to suppress them by passing bylaws. You need to desist from this. And quickly, let me speak quickly to our young people. To the young people of Liberia, you need to rethink. You need to sit down and reflect on how you can positively contribute to the country. You need to sit down and think about how you can help our country to be good country, to regain or maintain its status in the committees of nation, rather than allowing yourselves to be used by these politicians to carry the country backward and tint the image of our country globally. We are going to elections next year, and you are going to be playing very pivotal role in the electoral process. So for that to happen, for the electoral process to be peaceful, for the electoral process to be void of confrontation of any kind, it means that you should denounce all forms of violence. Do not allow yourselves to be used as instruments of violence, as instruments of chaos. So you must desist and denounce all forms of violence by ensuring that you recognize your true potential. Do your self-evaluation. Come up to see who really you are. when you identify your self potential, it's very difficult for people to just carry you along the way. You are not you don't follow the wind. You stand still even when the wind is blowing. You still stand still because you have something to protect. But when you think that you have nothing to protect, you can just follow the wind, and that's how the wind will carry you anywhere. So the wind is when the politicians give you little sense, and then you go on radio to defend them, and then you establish institution, so-called chairman for this other group to defend this other institution, the so-called group to defend this other individual, and you're not defending the people that who are the one who have been affected. It means that you have been belly driven. The same thing with civil society organizations. There are civil society organizations that are belly driven civil society organizations. I used to be in the media. I know what it is. I mean, issues will come up against politicians and civil society, so-called civil society organization will bring press release for media institute to carry. I used to refuse some of their press releases. I mean, why are you publishing this? Why? This is something accusing an individual, and you are coming as so-called civil society organization to defend these individuals. I mean, we must identify our true potential. That's the only way, and know that we owe it to Liberia. And let's owe it to Liberia. We owe our everything to Liberia. Let's put everything, we must jealously guard and protect the peace and democracy that we have. Because we reached this far based on the sacrifices of a lot of people. Every Liberian and our international partners and countries came to our aid to bring us to where we are. It took the lives of individuals, it took the lives and it took the resources of people, taxpayers, resources from different countries for us to get to where we are. So we must ensure that we jealously guard this particular process. And to do that, it means that we must denounce violence and stand for the truth, and always ask the hard question from these people who are coming to be elected. When you elect rogue, you don't expect the position to change that rogue. A rogue is a rogue, a thief is a thief, a murderer is a murderer. So you cannot put a murderer in position or a rogue in position and expect that that position is going to change that rogue. It's not possible. It's only going to reveal and show the true color of that rogue. So that's why we are suffering right now. We are suffering because we elect the wrong people, and they go to pass laws, and they will pass laws that will protect them and will not protect you. You need to think and be wise. Thank you ever so much. That's what we want to talk about today. So let's take a very, very short break. When we come back, we join our guests. Let's take a break. Following us online via the Integrity TV, we want to say welcome wherever you are and however you are following us. Please be there. You can leave your comments on our live Facebook feed, and we're going to read it out. What are suggestions? We welcome all of those. So welcome, and if you are just joining us via radio, we say welcome back. The program you are in tune to is called Integrity Watch. It's a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. My name is Sam Zota. I'm the Media and Communications Officer at CENTAL. My colleague who's making sure our visibility goes beyond the studio is Mark Bandau. So today in studio, we have our guest, Dr. Akiah Precious Glay, like we said. So we've already welcomed our guests in studio. So let's get the ball rolling. How is CENTAL doing, and how's the work, especially the retreat process? How was it, in fact?
Well, okay, once again, I say thanks for having me. But before I just talk about the retreat, I just like to acknowledge your last comment that you made about the youth, your concentration that was made on the youth. And I think this is really cardinal for this dispensation or this period, because we have few more months to go into election. And what your point you made, that we shouldn't be, the youth shouldn't be driven by, what momentary gain, like what they will have today, what money will come, so that they should concentrate their mind on Liberia, on the advancement of Liberia, the development of Liberia. They should be patriotic to their nation, not to a person. And so I just like to add my voice to say this is something that all youth and all person in Liberia should take important, and mothers and churches should start to talk about these things to their congregation, start to talk about these things in their homes. And so this is also not different from what CENTAL is also doing. Over the period, CENTAL has been working in many areas, breeding integrity in the youth especially. So we have this integrity club that is also one of the key things that we do at CENTAL, to make sure that university students and high school students are aware about the what integrity is, and live integrity in their daily lives. Because as we know, these students will grow up to become future leaders, and more to that, they also will be serve as an ambassador to the younger ones. And so what the integrity club also does is, when the university students are trained, they go to high schools and train. So all these efforts are just made to say that Liberia needs to be better, and it cannot be done by a single person, but collectively we can make Liberia better. So over the period, since 2020, we have been on the radio many times talking about this. So CENTAL received funding from the people of Sweden, through the Swedish International Development Agency, SIDA, to implement what we call the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program. And under this program, we have a lot of activities that we are implementing. And so we started the first phase, and then the second phase ended in July of this year. So customarily, what we do is, in order to have a vibrant new year, and in order to have a plan and retrospect on our strategy, what worked for us, what did not work, and what we think we can augment, and what we think we can incorporate, what new idea, what did we generate in the previous implementation year. We always select a quiet place, where we sit and brainstorm together and talk about our achievement, and our constraints and possible outcomes. So this year we had the retreat in Grand Bassa County at the Trabaco Resort, on the outskirts of Buchanan City. Yeah. And then we were there for a week. So including 22 persons were in that meeting, including the board members. And it was a very fruitful one. And every department under the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, we have the Art Club, the Open Expenditure, JOSA, Joint Civil Society Anti-Corruption Initiative. We have the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. We have in the Integrity Watch Radio program. And so all these activities, the coordinators for these activities were there to talk about their constraints and talk about the achievement. So we had the board chair in person of Councillor Nibadi Wonder. He was there, and he applauded CENTAL for the work that she has done over the period. And he went further to say that he do not want the institution to be complacent. He wants the institution to vibrantly work, because the society, in order for it to live from one stage to another, we need not to be complacent. He said people who celebrate achievement are people who become complacent. So we should not sit and celebrate our achievement. And followed by our executive director, Mr. Anderson D. Miamen. He also spoke to the theme and acknowledged that we are doing well as an institution, but he do not want us to also think that we have arrived. He wants us to put more effort and work. Sometimes in his speech, he said that at times we are working and it seems that we are not working, but what we're doing every time we see for like sanction and other things we see around here, it might be that our work is awakening people. Our advocacy is awakening people. Citizens are now aware, and citizens can now speak and demand for the accountability. And so these were some of the things that our executive director and then our board chair spoke about in the meeting. And so we also talked about now, whatever plan we have for the second phase of the year, most of it will achieve. And what we collectively, what we think that we achieved was we were able to identify that citizens were aware of corruption. They could tell what corruption is. And I would say, one of the things that stood out is that under the open expenditure initiative, we go to counties and have forums and bring the citizens together in a single space with their leaders to talk about the county social development funds. So at the end of the year, we realized that the leaders themselves, we succeeded in hosting these forums. We succeeded in advocating or hosting this radio program. We succeeded in informing people about their rights, we empower them with information to demand for accountability. So now, what has changed? What impact have we made so far? When we think about the impact over the period, we understand that for the first time, we use Grand Baza as a case study.
Okay.
For the first time in Grand Baza, the citizens did not go to the leadership to demand accountability, but instead the leaders have now seen the necessity to go to attire shop, to go to gathering where citizens are, to explain to them about the county's social development.
So since you brought that, so what necessitated that? What led to the people now, the leaders going now to the people to talk about the accountability issue?
What our many engagements in the county, our radio program, our open expenditure, but to be precise, our open expenditure forum. We held this forum and brought together the leadership and other people, and the citizens were there, and the leadership gave account of the funds that they used, the money that came. And afterwards, we visited projects and monitor projects in the counties. So findings from these projects were also displayed for citizens to see. So afterwards, citizens realized that, in their own understanding, they realized that we think we need more of this in our county. We think we need the leadership to demand for CENTAL cannot be leaving from their office and come and tell us how much our leaders have spent. We think our leaders themselves need to come and be reporting, or maybe we discuss together. So now this made the citizens to go after and confront the leadership through radio program, through conversation, and then the leadership themselves adhered to that and then decided not to go in the various attire shop and where citizens are gathered to talk to them about the county social fund and how it is spent.
Great. So let's go to the open expenditure. So that's one of the impact or what it has led to so far, where citizens are now demanding accountability, and the leaders now are going to the people and reaching out. So Grand Baza, what have they said they're going to be doing for going forward? What are the plans they have since this has already been trickled?
Oh yeah, they said that, well, as I said earlier, they started and they said they are going to continue to go to citizens, to attire shops, and then with PowerPoint presentation, pictorial evidence to show to the citizens what they are doing with the country's social development funds. And not just that, they are also planning, according to them, they plan to bring superintendents and the leader together and train them in other areas, especially in terms of, because they are the custodian of the public funds, so how they are going to disseminate information surrounding that, and how they are going to have a conversation, like a conversation around that with citizens and themselves. So they thought that moving forward, they are going to engage more with the citizens and more with leaders. They are going to train people. And also they talked about, because the law surrounding the county funds talk about the PMT, project management team, which should be comprised of citizens within the vicinity of the project and implement the vicinity of the project's area, so that they can monitor that project and then report to the PMC or report to the leadership. So now they themselves, moving forward, according to them, they are going to now make vivid or publicize the PMT. So the PMT are not going to be people that you will not know about. So the citizens in the community will know who the PMT are, and project monitoring will be done by the citizens themselves. And so this is just under the open expenditure. This is one of it. And when we talk about the JOSA also, because during the retreat we spoke about
JOSA
a lot
is the
of
Joint Civil Society Anti-Corruption Initiative.
So yeah, so under JOSA also, they succeeded in having a one-day march for transparency, and this march brought together 10 CBOs and CSO in Morocco County, and then they petitioned the lawmakers on some laws that they thought that it has long been pending on their desk, so they needed to pass those laws. And so far, the Joint Civil Society has been also that they managed to engage with legislature, who signed our integrity pledge and pledged to live a life of integrity, and who also opened their doors to CENTAL. They made commitment that they will partner with CENTAL. Any other documents and anything we need, we can partner with them. So the idea of CENTAL's work and transparency, advocating for transparency and accountability in Liberia, is becoming everybody's business. So everybody, beginning from the bottom to the top, from top to bottom, people are now adhering, and through our work and other support from our partners, people are adhering and pledging their support with the institution. This is a clear and good way to go. And we say, because of these evidence, we realized that we were really successful in our last phase, and this new phase it has already begun. We began in July. So we know that with the success we identified, in the constraints and the recommendation and also the brainstorming, we know that this year implementation will be far more better than last year.
Okay, so the program you are listening to is called Integrity Watch. It's a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Thursday on ECOWAS Radio 91.5 FM, and it's relayed on Prime FM in Monrovia. Prime FM is on the assigned frequency of 105.5. So the program runs from 11 to 12 noon. It is a primary radio-based communication and information dissemination platform of CENTAL. So today we are talking about CENTAL and its activities. So in studio today is the Gender Officer of CENTAL and Coordinator of the Open Expenditure Initiative, an initiative that brings together county leaders and the citizens in a single space to talk about developmental initiatives, especially county social development funds and development funds. So we're talking about those activities today. So we can open the line so that you can participate if you are out there whilst the discussion ongoing. So the number to call 0779 000691, 0779 000691. That's the number to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. Like we said, it is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by CENTAL. So again, let's get we've been holding different forums in different locations, whether it's under the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center, whether it's under the Integrity Club. I mean, these activities have been ongoing. And offhand, what information can you provide in terms of attendance? Which gender or the sex would be on the increase? What the attendance in terms of male and female?
Okay, so yes, again, as we've been saying here, that we have held numerous activities in our 7 project counties. And then, so basically last year, as compared to this, I mean, the inception phase 2020, as compared to 2021, the females have been in large attendance.
Let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Your name and where are you calling from, sir?
Yes, my name is Jared Singer, and I'm joined from Jakarta.
So your name is?
My name is Jared Singer, and I joined from Jakarta this morning.
Okay, Zina, let's hear you.
Thank you so much, and thanks to your co-host here. I want to know if this program is sponsored by our international partners or government.
Whether it is sponsored by international partner or